Hey there, guys. It is Josh Siwasepl, and welcome to the 2022 channel recap. Another year down. And we have... I don't know how much we're going to talk about, to be honest. If it doesn't give it away immediately, I don't script this at all. I just talk off the cuff and just kind of see how things go. So, really, 2022 begins with 2021. At the end of 2021, I started Halo Infinite. First blind Halo game for the channel that's also blind for everyone else. It was brand new. But the first official Let's Play of 2022 was Overlord Raising Hell, which technically also is not a 2022 Let's Play, because I did the pilot in 2021 as well, just to say that I was able to start it then. So technically that's not even 2022 officially. But I'll still talk about it, because the main Let's Play happened. Overall, great game. It was a promise I made to Revan that I was actually going to play it. Quite a bit of technical trouble for Overlord. I don't know, a lot of like audio glitches that happened where audio just wouldn't play, and the controller being a big issue as well, just not being able to functionally play the game until closer to the end when I swapped out a controller and it turned out it worked perfectly. Didn't need to update any drivers at all. As a little bit of behind the scenes, I first started playing with a PlayStation 4 controller. I couldn't get a PlayStation 3 controller to work. I could not get an Xbox 360 controller to work. I couldn't get an Xbox One controller to work. Even updating drivers and downloading software to make it run, couldn't get it to work with the game. Just could not. Then the PS4 one, updated the driver, it worked. Recognized it as a 360 controller. It's whatever. And then the driver updated again and completely borked the whole setup. The PlayStation 4 controller stopped working entirely. And I was low-key kind of panicking, because that meant I wasn't actually going to be able to continue on with the series, because mouse just does not work. For some reason, my mouse setup, drivers, whatever, won't work with Overlord, and I thought I was going to have to cancel it. Until I tried a PS5 controller, which I just did not think was going to work, period. Works perfectly. The PS4 controller, I couldn't even switch spells. PS5 controller, worked like a charm. Could switch spells all I wanted to. And that wasn't until closer to the end of the game, which, you know, sucks. But hey, we got it to work. Overall, good Let's Play. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I've always wanted to go back and play it, but I never have. I think in terms of like channel regular, it was a little below average, but hey, I still enjoyed it. Next up, Gears of War Ultimate, which a lot of people over the years have wanted me to do. I put it off for a long time because I wanted to finish the Halo series first and then move on to the Gears of War series, and that'd be like the next big Xbox series on the channel. Because, you know, I didn't grow up with Xbox, so there's plenty of series of Xbox series that I haven't played. And I kind of want to do those in chunks. Big series, big series, big series. And Halo was the biggest. And then we'll focus on Gears of War. Gears of War Ultimate, I chose to do that instead of the original game, just because it was supposed to be, you know, the most updated and most quote-unquote complete version of it. Ended up having some visual troubles on my end. Thankfully, people didn't seem to notice it, but like the resolution kept flickering back and forth like constantly on my end. It shows up in the recording too, and I notice it, but thankfully people didn't, and it didn't cause too much of an issue. In hindsight, I feel like I would have preferred to play the original, because that one is backwards compatible and it's up to 60 FPS, I think, with frame rate boost on the Series X. Wait, did I play it? Did I play it? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I played it on the Series. Of course I did, because I had Halo Infinite at the time. So yeah, the Series X had it. Overall, Gears of War Ultimate did really well on the channel. Love to see that. And then here's the next thing that I have to talk about. Right, I brought back Cursed Meme, and I brought back it as Season 2, and I revamped some things and how I do Cursed Memes, and I really should have made a dedicated video to this, but here it is. I ended up putting the series on hiatus, and I just want to talk briefly about it. In 2022, I kind of came to this realization that I was doing things that I wasn't necessarily happy with. Nothing that I was against. Like, I enjoy doing Cursed Memes, but I did so much in Season 1 of Cursed Memes that I feel like I burnt myself out, and I tried to refresh it in hopes that I would refresh as well, and it ultimately didn't work. I was still pretty burnt out on it, and I chose to just step away from Cursed Meme. The original idea was that I was just going to take a month off from Cursed Memes, and I just never came back to it. A lot of what burnt me out is just the repetition of it all, doing the Cursed Memes kind of the exact same way every time. I wasn't really finding a lot of fun ways to edit it, which was getting to me. And then also just that it's normal with any series that it receives declining views. So I just kept seeing the videos decline in views, and that made me want to less do it. I love every one of you that participated in Cursed Memes, but I was just seeing the same people post Cursed Memes, and it's not as exciting for me when it's the same 7 or so people posting majority of memes, and instead of just trying to change it up, I just stepped away. If I return to it, I would definitely want an assurance that more people are going to be involved in it to have more variety, as well as my assurance that it's going to be different. And I still haven't figured out how I want to make it different. But that's the Cursed Memes. That's the Cursed Memes issue that I finally am addressing. Next, we have Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I was extremely excited about this because I played the original trilogy back when it first came out all those years ago on GameCube, I think. Loved it, and I was excited to see a brand new one with everything. When the series started, I originally wanted to do like a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 kind of thing of each episode. So I think episode 1 ended up being 3 parts, and then episode 2 is going to be part 1, part 2. I didn't like how it was working out, so I changed it after episode 2 and just started doing each part of its own episode, because otherwise the whole series was going to take super long to make. And on top of it all, every episode was being copyright claimed, because Disney is Disney and Lucasfilms is Lucasfilms and Star Wars is Star Wars. Every episode was getting copyright claimed, and it was taking a lot of work to do multiple parts for each movie. So I just said, screw it, we'll do one movie an episode. And I feel like that works a lot better. The episodes tended to be about like an hour-ish long. Feel like that works much better. After that, we got on to Conker's Bad Fur Day, a game that is highly praised that I've never played except for maybe like the first 20 minutes, and that was on the original N64 hardware. This time I played it on Xbox using the Rare Replay, and I gotta say, it was okay. I feel like it's a game that hasn't aged super well. I'd be kind of interested in trying out the reloaded version of it to see how that plays, but I ended up getting quite frustrated with it, especially the final boss. Not a bad game, but it's aged poorly, and I feel like there's plenty of quality of life improvements that need to be made for it to be up to modern standards. It doesn't mean it wasn't bad back then. It just means that it's not as fun. Our taste and the way we play games have changed over the last 20 some years. And yeah, Conquer was made over 20 years ago. So it definitely does struggle a bit, but still had really great moments in it. And I do see the nuggets in there that made it a really good game back then. And those nuggets just need to be kind of refined into a nice gold chunk. Overall, yeah, I would definitely say Conquer was worth my time. After Conquer, though, I decided to hop into technically a very old Let's Play. I did a one-off of Ratchet and Clank years ago as a pilot episode, and I can't remember what it went up against. But whatever it went up against, it lost. And I just had a real craving to play Ratchet and Clank again, so I said screw it, and I played Ratchet and Clank. I mean, it's a classic for me. I played it growing up, so easily a fun game. Highly recommend that. The Let's Play was fun too. Gonna be honest, didn't do super well on the channel, but hey, it was a game I wanted to play. After Ratchet and Clank, though, was a game I have had people recommend, and that was Control. Control! Holy shit. Control was a fantastic, fun experience to play. Even though I wasn't able to fully finish it, because apparently there are spoilers for Alan Wake in it that I haven't played yet. So I need to play Alan Wake first, and then I'll get back to Control. So it's not technically finished, but the main story was finished. Yeah, holy shit, Control. Fantastic game. I loved playing that through. And I was excited to just, like, record the next episode, which doesn't really happen with every Let's Play. Now, some Let's Plays, you know, I have fun with the game, but it's work, right? It ultimately is work. Control, however, was super fun to play, and I couldn't wait to just record the next episode and just wanted to be recording constantly. So, Control, highly loved it. Not going to really say much about it because I don't want to spoil anything. After it, though, Gears of War 2. And there is no, like, remaster of Gears of War 2, so it's just the Xbox 360 versions, backwards compatible. Again, I completely understand why this series is so loved. Playing the first one proved it was a fantastic game. Playing the second one was another fantastic game. And I know a lot of people, including myself, are excited to attempt the third one. A lot of people wanted me to just jump into the third one right away. But I feel like there needed to be some time in between it. But it will come. Don't worry. Gears 3 is coming. After Gears 2, decided to play Spider-Man. PS4, remastered for PS5. Game of the year, whatever it is. Spider-Man Remastered. I love Spider-Man. I played it when it came out. 100%ed it. Done all the DLC. Fantastic game. Probably my favorite game. It came out in 2018. I think 2018 is when it came out. I think so. Believe so. Yeah, favorite game. Came out in 2020. I haven't played the PS5 version, and that was what I was attempting to do with this one. Well, I say attempting, but I did play through the whole thing. But I didn't finish it. I do need to go back and do the DLC. Spider-Man started really, really strong on the channel and then had a really rapid decline, which is why I was just done with it after I finished the main story and didn't want to just immediately go into the DLC. But the DLC will come. I'll probably do those in parts as like smaller Let's Plays, but that is also going to happen. Didn't really have like a Halloween series this year. Had a small one. Scorn came out, and I've been waiting for that game ever since it was first announced back in like 2016 or 2014, whenever it was announced. So that was technically the Halloween series. It was very short and it went past Halloween, but hey, an episode of it aired on Halloween. Scorn was fantastic. A lot of people hated Scorn, or were at least extremely disappointed from it, which is going to happen no matter what. Any game that has been teased or talked about for a long period of time, that's going to happen. It's just the simple nature of it. But I went into it with different expectations than I think most people did, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Couldn't recommend it enough. But I understand the complaints that people had with it. So, completely understandable. I just had a different experience than most. I still recommend it though. Just go into it with different expectations than a first-person horror survival game. After Scorn, I moved on to The Wolf Among Us, which is another game that I've played before. There was quite a bit of that this year, actually, of me playing games that I've done before. Not on the channel before, like I did with Sly Cooper, but just games I've played before in general. The Wolf Among Us 2 is supposed to come out in 2023. Supposed to. They've made one announcement, and who knows? That was a sequel I thought that was never going to get made, since Telltale, can't talk today, went out of business, and then got bought up. But it looks like it's going to actually happen. And I'm super excited for Wolf Among Us 2. I wanted to replay The Wolf Among Us, and it gives me a reason to play it on the channel as well, so that I can then do The Wolf Among Us 2 when that will come out. Cross your fingers. I love The Wolf Among Us. It is my favorite Telltale game that they've done, period, hands down. I love the universe. I love the characters in it. It's so wonderful. And I'm glad it's getting a sequel. Now, from what I understand, the sequel isn't going to have much to do with the first one, but it's still important to know what happened in the first game. It's weird how talking about The Wolf Among Us has basically turned into me talking about The Wolf Among Us 2 expectations. Mainly because The Wolf Among Us is a very heavy dialogue, story-driven game. And I'm trying not to spoil anything about the Let's Plays or the actual games in this talk, in case somebody wants to go and watch it who didn't watch it. Maybe you missed that I even did The Wolf Among Us, which if you did, go back and watch it. It was a fun Let's Play. It was a bit weird doing a Let's Play that was so dialogue driven. It's not something I'm typically used to. I'm trying to think of some other dialogue driven games, like smaller ones like The Frog Detective, sure. But dialogue choice driven games with limited to no gameplay. It was a unique challenge, I'll say that. I'll leave it up to you to decide if I actually did good. I felt like I did an okay job. Personally, I think one of the things that made it not go so well in my eyes is that I've played it before. I think I would have a lot more to bounce off of in terms of dialogue and choices if I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew what was going to happen. And in some games that I've played before, like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man, I can play off of that because there's more to play off of with gameplay. And I can make jokes about things that are happening. But with a game that's very story-focused, it's kind of hard to do that when you know what the twists and turns are. And it's kind of hard to make fun of it because it's taking itself so seriously. You can do it. I don't think I like to do that, but hey, that is up for a different discussion. Overall, I think The Wolf Among Us went alright. Not the best of this year, but it went alright. Now that moves on to technically current things. Half-Life 2. A lot of people have been wanting me to play Half-Life 2, and I'm doing it. It's finally here. After all this time, Half-Life 2 is finally here. It's not over yet. It's still going on, even into 2022. It was the last Let's Play of 2021, and it's moving on to 2022. As of this recording, I still haven't finished it. I don't know how far away I am, but I feel like I'm about a little over midway. Some behind-the-scenes spoilers for that. Again, not going to talk about the Let's Play. And I don't really have much to say right now because, like I said, haven't finished it. My impressions currently on it, I think it's a very well-designed game in terms of gameplay. The story has been a little bit lacking, but we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's really, really well designed. Except for like one level. But again, that will all be talked about when I actually do finish the Let's Play, and I talk about it in the final episode. So really, there's not much more I can say about Half-Life 2 currently. There are some other changes to the channel that I've done that I can talk about. I've started uploading shorts to the channel, and they are doing great, and I plan to do more of them. I've also changed up recently how I do thumbnails. I'm going to see how this works. Hopefully it will do better in terms of like getting people's attention. I kind of started it with Scorn simply because I didn't know how to make thumbnails for Scorn. Typically I will go and try and pull like a still image and the logo along with some font or text that looks similar to the logo. I couldn't find shit for Scorn. The only logo I could find was really low resolution and looked like shit. And there was no like real text that I could gravitate to that I felt like would look good, especially without the logo. So I just said screw it, and I left Scorn just to generate its own thumbnails, I guess. And that seemed to go over well. People liked it, and I just kind of carried that on. Although with The Wolf Among Us, I took screenshots from the game and I put the logo over it, but no like numbering system. And I've picked up the same for Half-Life 2 as well. I'm going to attempt to continue to do this trend because I personally kind of like the thumbnails the way they look. But we'll see. I think it's going to really come down to a game-to-game basis. That's going to be it for the 2022 recap in terms of just talking about the channel. I did, however, take some questions from Discord. So if you're part of the Discord channel, then I have a section there where you can ask me questions. And I decided to do a little mini Q&A. So I'm going to answer some questions. If I don't answer your question, I'm going to answer it on the Discord. So let's get started. Zach, when will Deep Rock Galactic come to the channel? I don't know, to be honest with you. Couldn't tell you. I will certainly look into it, but it hasn't really been a game that's on my radar. The Space Person, what's your dream car? The Interceptor. It's a beautiful car. I absolutely love the look of it. I would love to own it, although I think that's going to be a pipe dream, considering how much that thing's actually increased in price the last couple years. Alright, Russian Man, honest questions. Am I a US born citizen? Yes. What state are you from? I'm not comfortable saying, but I will say the East Coast. What year were you born? Also, are you trying to gain access to one of my accounts? In the 90s. Early 90s, I'll give you that. What games from those times were your childhood favorite? Ocarina of Time I played a lot, so was Majora's Mask. The game that I probably played the most growing up, though, was Super Mario 64. I know that's not really the exact question, but I have a lot of fond memories of Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. I didn't really start playing games until the mid to late 90s, so kind of a follow-up. If you played RTS, did you enjoy the Command & Conquer series? Haven't played the Command & Conquer series. I remember playing StarCraft and Warcraft over at a friend's house. There was one RTS that was based on Small Soldiers that I played over there. That was fun. Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth. Not a big fan of Lord of the Rings. What genre of music do you like, or are you a little from all type guy? Mainly EDM and hard rock and metal. That's kind of weird to say, but those are the main ones. I do like a lot of stuff. Country I'm not super big into. Reggae I'm not big into. I listen to a lot of stuff, but EDM and hard rock / metal. Did you play any sports when you were younger? I played a little bit of basketball. Not really super into sports. Couldn't get into football. But basketball was the one I found the most fun. Did you were currently going to college? Dropped out. I can't really be going for a degree, but I dropped out. Ultra, what is your favorite game you've played up until the point? I'm guessing you mean on the channel, and I would... It's kind of hard to answer. I really enjoyed the hell out of playing Deadly Premonition. That was probably a super unique experience that I can never rehappen. That's even a word, rehappen. Fantastic. I also really loved playing Control and Jedi Fallen Order. Gears of War 2 was really fun to play through. It would, honestly though, it would be one of the first three. Deadly Premonition, Jedi Fallen Order, or Control. Are you married or have a lady at least, or are you a bar hopper? I have a significant other. That's about as much as I will say. I try not to put a lot of that information out there online. It's something I have to discuss with them of whether or not they're willing to be a part of the online ethos. Answering questions about myself, aside from like very specific information, I'm fine with, but whenever you include another person, that stuff always gets a bit muddled. Kaisar, if you knew the exact time you would die, would you live stream it with a countdown? Yes. I think that would be an interesting experience for anybody to witness. Absolutely, 100%. Spotted Stripe. All right, Josh, I have a question. Would you consider doing more co-op videos with the Discord like you did with Among Us? Yes, I would love to. I just don't have time. Hopefully, one day in the future, I will have time and I can sit down and do more. But right now, I just don't. For those of you that don't know, if you're not a part of the Discord, you don't know, I did Among Us with some of the Discord boys. We recorded it and I have a video for it. It is a Discord exclusive. So if you want to see it, you got to be part of the Discord to see it. Always intended in recutting it to do like a really super cut down highlights, but I had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to include and what I wanted to cut out. Don't know if this was asked before, but what is your favorite game you've played in general, and what's been your favorite game played on the channel? I kind of held off on answering my favorite game with the last one because I wasn't sure if Ultra meant that or not, and I knew you asked that. I already answered the channel one. Kingdom Hearts 2. That's my favorite game of all time. Question I had since 2020. Mario Galaxy playthrough when? Never. I hate that game. It makes me physically sick. Josh, I'll pay you to never play Super Mario Galaxy if I have to. Pay up, bitch. Admiral Akbar. Do you prefer doing Let's Plays of newer games or older ones? I would say newer ones simply because they tend to be easier to Let's Play. Older games have a lot of issues in terms of like saving and progress tracking, and makes it more difficult to Let's Play. If I was just talking about playing, I like playing older games. They are a new experience for me because I haven't played a ton of these like greatest games ever. I was restricted mainly to Nintendo consoles because I had to get what my parents bought me. I was a child, so I didn't get an Xbox until I was in my adult. There's plenty of Xbox games that I haven't played. But yeah, I would say just newer games to Let's Play because they're easier. What's the outro music and why did you pick it? If he's already answered this, someone just tell me. I honestly can't remember if I told this or not. It's a song called So Long. It's one I've put together myself using like loops. I picked it because that's just what I wanted the ending to sound like. At the end of this, I'll play the whole song. How about that? You can enjoy it. And feel free to use it for any of your projects. Just give me credit. What and or who got you into gaming? My cousin. He had a Game Boy with Super Mario Land, and I played that. That's what got me into it. Fair. Legitimate question though. In game suggestions, I see that systems that don't really have capture cards for them, i.e. the DS and 3DS, and I think Game Boy, unless I read it wrong. How would you do those for the channel? Do you plan to do them or play them on your own time, or do you plan to emulate them somehow? So when I put the list together, there was capture cards for the 3DS, which would easily do DS games. Game Boy would be emulated or through direct capture. Now that there actually are devices that can do that, the Game Boy is no problem. 3DS and DS are a little bit trickier because the guy who makes them no longer makes them. And so you're basically buying secondhand versions of it. I don't even know if you can still get the software. Sure, somewhere. It would probably ultimately end up being emulation, but don't tell Nintendo that. Alright, so that's the short little Q&A. Honestly, I think I answered more questions than I intended to, but there are some that I didn't answer. If I didn't, I will answer it over on the Discord. I just want to say thank you guys so much for another year. 2022 was a fun one. I'm looking forward to 2023. I already have some ideas of what's coming up next, and I'm sure y'all are going to be excited for it as well. And just, again, thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching and just chatting with me on the Discord and hanging out. Love you guys. See you in the next thing.